Torah guardian, speaking the absolute truth. Torah nation.
Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Yasharal Yahuda. We the people of the book broadcast is going down, yeah. We going down because the mandate is for us to wake up Yaakov and Yahuda, to bring a word of truth to the Gentiles. Listen, I'm listening to Yerushalayim by this named Hezekiah. Listen. We want to go back home. Go back where we belong. Forgive us for our wrong. Listen, this ak was put on to me by one of my akids in the Besorah of truth, right? And the tribe. He told me, he said, listen, ak, you got to listen to this. Listen. This, brothers, is tight work. I don't own the rights to this music. Hezekiah, I don't own the rights to this music. The song is entitled Yerushalayim. Listen. We want to go back home, y'all. Listen, this ain't our home. We're in the lands of our enemies. We are in the lands of our captivities. Listen, I ain't captive no more because I have received the witness. But listen, I'm ready to go home. Listen, Yehuda, listen. We ready. We ready to go. Yeah, we want to go back home where we belong. Forgive us for our wrongs. Listen, Yahuwah, in the name of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, I give you praise. I pray right now in the name of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach that you would take the reins of my lips and reins of my tongue and reign. Listen, Yahuwah, the word that you have given Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, he has given me and I've kept them. I've received this Besorah of truth. I've received the witness of the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. He said you would give me power. After that, the Ruach Ha'Qodesh has come upon me. And Yahuwah to be a witness in the earnest. Yahuwah, I am here to witness to the testimonies of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach on this Shabbat. Calling to the people of Yahuda and Yasharal. Listen. Waking up Yaakov. Waking up Yasharal and Yahuda. Yahuwah, I pray that I would not cause anyone to be turned out of the way, that I would not cause anyone to come up lame, that I would not cause anyone to stumble, that I would not cause anyone to fall away. Yahuwah, you said those that are led by the Ruach of Yahuwah, these are the sons of Yahuwah. Yahuwah, I submit to you today that I am your son. Yahuwah, I have met you. Yehurabah, son of road of Damascus, I met you. I met you at an early age. Yahuwah, I've been dedicated to the Besorah, and I thank you for this time, this hour, this season, this awakening, this quickening, this Ruach Ha'Qodesh moment. Yahuwah, I give you praise. I give you praise. I give you praise, Yahuwah. Yahuwah, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight. Yahuwah, in the name of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. Yahuwah. Listen. Song is simple. Wow. Listen, we want to go back home. We want to go where we belong. Yahuwah, we don't belong in this land. They really don't want us here. The truth be told, they don't want us here. They know we help establish their economy, but you know their economy is established now. You know they don't want us here really. Listen, you, I want to go back home. I'm about this truth. I'm about this absolute truth. And because I have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, I speak the truth. Listen, I am the Torah guardian. I have been called to keep the word of Yahuwah, to keep it in my heart, to keep it and to give it to those who have an ear to hear. I have to speak the absolute truth. Listen, Yerushalayim, by this brother Hezekiah. I love this. I love this. I can listen to this constantly, back and back. Listen. It's the Shabbat. We waking up Yaakov and Yehuda. We're speaking to the grafted in Gentiles. Listen. This is for those who have an ear to hear. This Besorah that's about to come is for those who have an ear to hear. It's Ruach. Listen, I'm grateful to my Ak, James, Jetter. I am grateful to this Aki. I love this young Ak, right? It's like my Timothy. He's like, listen, I love this young Ak. I appreciate him for delivering me this music. This music is for you. Listen, 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 listen. Yerushalayim, Hezekiah, listen. This act is serious. The rest of his music is tight work too. We going in. Listen, listen, listen. It's about the Shabbat. It's about waking up Yaakov and Yehuda. Right? This is about me doing what Yahuwah has called me to do. Listen, one thing about me, I recognize that there is administration and operations that may not be like mine. Oh no, may not be like mine, but they're Ruach now. Don't get it twisted. They have to have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. They got to operate in the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, right? But what Yahuwah has given me is given me, and I don't expect anybody to mimic me, right? But you know what? I expect that whoever receives this Besorah of truth to give this word out. Right. I expect you, if you've been quickened by this word, to reach out with this word to someone who you know needs to hear it. Right? Listen. This Besorah must be preached. This Besorah, this Torah must be preached. Yahusha's witness must go forth. You must receive the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Listen, this should be everybody's message in the awakening. This should be everybody's awakening. Now, there's different administrations. I don't expect you to go in the way I go in. But I do expect you to understand that this is the message. This is the message of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. This is the message. It ain't Christianity. Christianity ain't reached this world with the Besorah of truth because it's not established on the Besorah of truth. It's not established on the Torah of truth. It don't honor and reverence the holy days. It doesn't honor and reverence the laws and the statutes that Yahusha Mashiach commanded us to keep. This is not that. This is not that. This is that, right? This awakened Hebrew, this awakened Yisraelite, this awakened nation, this tribe of Yahuda, this royal priesthood, this holy people. This is what Yahusha had said and declared in the pouring out of his Ruach. And us reaching Yahuda and the world for the Besorah. Listen, they ain't got this. Christianity ain't got this, y'all. Christianity don't have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. No, not operating under those covenants and doctrines that they operate in. No, they don't operate by the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Yahuwah said, tell him again, they do not operate by his Ruach Ha'Qodesh. They are a twisted fabrication of lies and manipulations in using Yahuwah's Besorah and Torah to advance Hasatan's kingdom. Yeah, I know there's gonna be a lot of people who don't like this, but I don't care. I don't, because see, Yahuwah has called me to preach the Besorah of truth. He's called me to do it by the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. And see, I'm crazy enough to open my mouth and allow the Ruach Ha'Qodesh to flow freely from me. I don't need a planned agenda. All I need to know is the Ruach Ha'Qodesh in me, who's giving me a word to deliver that word. He's going to bring it forth in power, exousia, right, in demonstration, and dunamos, because he is righteous and he is in me, Yahuwah and Yahusha, their seed. I have received the witness in the Shamayim, Abba, the Besorah, the Torah, Yahusha, and the Ruach HaQodesh, and I've received the witness in the Eretz, the Ruach HaQodesh, the water baptism, and the blood. These three agree in the earth. These three agree in the Shamayim, and I am one with them in the Ruach HaQodesh. So listen, I'm going to preach this Besorah. I am going to declare this Torah. I'm going to tell you that you ain't going to make it. You are not going to make it. Doesn't matter if you're Hebrew or Gentile. You aren't going to make it if you have not received the witness of Yahuwah, the witness of Yahusha, and the witness of the Ruach HaQodesh. You ain't going to make it if you don't receive Yahusha, the baptism. You don't receive the blood atonement. And if you don't receive the Ruach HaQodesh, you have to have them all three because they agree. They are one. You got to have them. You got to have them. You got to have them. You ain't going to make it without it. There's no answer for you without it. Yahuwah said you have to come through Yahusha. He was the Besorah made flesh, right? He is the only way to this kingdom. We left off in Colossians. We're going to continue in Colossians. Right? We're going to continue in Colossians, right? Because you need to understand continually how essential the Ruach HaQodesh is. You have to have the Ruach HaQodesh. You have to have the witnesses. You have to have the witnesses. You have to have the witnesses. You have to, and see, my job is to preach. Listen, and you know what? Apostle Paul didn't vary from his message. He preached the same message. Faith in Yahusha Ha'Mashiach is for the Gentiles. The same Besorah that Peter preached to the Hebrews, Paul preached to the Hebrews, he preached to the Gentiles. It's the same message. Yahusha. You have to receive Yahusha. You have to receive Yahusha Hamashiach's witness. You have to. Peter preached it on the day of Pentecost. Men and brethren, listen. You must be baptized in the name of Yahusha Hamashiach for the forgiveness of your sins, and you receive the Ruach HaQodesh. Look, the message is still the same. Listen. It's a beautiful thing to know who we are. Right? Listen, and I commend Ma'ak Benaya Yisrael, right? And his Hidden Hebrews series. Oh my goodness, right? He just released another in the lines of the Hidden Hebrews series, right? About the Naid. It sounds like nigga. But anyway. But how he broke that down historically and researched it, the documentation, the verification of us being the people. Listen, that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing. Listen, we know that we are a royal priesthood. Listen. You know, I appreciate that, brother. Right? Oh yeah, I appreciate B'nai Ben Israel. Listen, look. I appreciate B'nai Israel. I do. Oh yeah, and it's in Hebrew circle. Listen, I'm gonna tell you something. It was because of that brother that I did my DNA. It's because of that brother I followed the same steps that he followed. And listen, I've come up with similar to almost exact results. What? Yes. I know that I am Yahudim. I know my ancestors in 850 was in Spain, in Granada. Listen, my DNA shows that. My DNA shows me all on the east coast of West and the east coast of Africa. It shows me being in Granada. Then it shows me off the coast of West Africa, in the islands. Listen, I learned this because of what this brother did and what I did and the steps that I've taken to dive deep into my own history. Listen, but if the truth be told, it is going to be all vanity if I have not received the witness of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. Listen, it is all going to be vanity if I have not received the witness of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. I will just be like the Pharisees, Sadducees, and them Yahudim that were law keepers and yet not law keepers. Vanity. Right? Now, it's a beautiful thing for a man and a woman to know who they are, to know where they come from. See, you know, the good thing about this for me is I really understand what my ancestors went through. I'm not going through that. Oh, no. I understand that I need to have Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. I needed to receive the witness that the Father put in Yahusha to put into me. Listen, I recognize, I don't want that. I don't want that curse. I want to be free. I want what Yahusha has provided for me. I want to be an El in the earth. I want to serve him in his kingdom. I want to be a pillar in the kingdom of Yahuwah. This is what it's about. I want to be a part of the kingdom that was originally established in the garden that he's going to reestablish again in the earth. I want to be a part of that kingdom. And I recognize the only way to get there is through faith in Mashiach and having received the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. You got to have all three witnesses. You got to have the water. You got to have the blood. You got to have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. The three agree. Yahuwah says, this is my beloved son. He set his approval on Yahusha after he had put on him the Ruach Ha'Qodesh without measure. Yahusha then therefore went to be a witness, but he had to be tempted of Hasatan for 40 days and 40 nights. He established his victory in the Ruach, something that Adam and Havah didn't do. Adam and Havah did not establish their victory over Hasatan. They yielded. And in yielding, they gave up their dominion. Yahusha was not going to give up his dominion to Hasatan. He had all powers in the Eretz and in the Shamayim, just like Adam and Havah had. But you know what? Yahusha knew what Adam and Havah had done. He knew at the time that they did it that he was going to have to go, and he was going to have to be the sacrifice. He's going to have to be the one that restores the kingdom order. Yeah, and Hasatan didn't want that to happen. But Yahuwah said, this is my son, in whom I'm well pleased. I placed in him the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, and Yahuchanan has testified that he has come to order to fill you with, to baptize you with the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, to establish you as kings and priests in the earth, to establish the order of Yahuwah in you. That's why it's more than just being bruised. Listen, B'nai Israel, right? Rebirth of a nation. That 3 CD docu-series. Powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. Listen. And not only that, there's the another one. What is that one? From Hebrews to Negroes by Ron Dalton. Powerful stuff. But listen, you got to know more than that you're Hebrew. Listen, our people knew they was Hebrew then, and they still failed Yahuwah. We didn't know we was Hebrew. Now we know we're Hebrew. But are we gonna fail you? We gonna fail Yahuwah again? Not me. Oh, no. I have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. I've received the witness, and I'm expecting signs all the time to follow. I preach this Besorah of truth to those who have an ear to hear. I pray for them. I expect Yahuwah's miracles to flow because his word is true. Yeah. And eventually I'm going to have to hit the streets. Yeah. Because listen, that what you see and I see, you see, we see, that ain't it. That ain't it. What we see and you see, I see, you see, right? And all that purple and gold, right? And all that yelling and swearing and all of that, that ain't this. That ain't the Besorah, right? That's the Torah. Because they read from the Torah, but that's not Yahusha. That's not his witness. No. Because Paul, you ain't never heard Paul sitting up and cussing people out. No. Paul used the Besorah by the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. See, because when you preach with the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, you change lives. Right? When you deliver the Besorah of truth with the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, you change lives. There's nothing to compare to having Yahuwah's Ruach Ha'Qodesh in you. Everything other than that, sounding brass and tinkling cymbals. Noise. Colossians, the 1st chapter. Starting at the 13th verse, because we read up until 13th verse, right? We're looking at Paul's letter to the church in Colossae, right? Him and Timothy, right? Or Paul acknowledges Timothy in this letter, right? Being with him, right? But he's writing it to the church in Colossae, Gentile church, right? And he talks about how they have been established in the truth. Yahusha is the way, the truth, and the life. They have been established in Yahusha, right? Right? In the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, right? He says, listen. He learned of the church and its love from an individual named EPH'SIYM, right? Who mentioned to Paul about the church at Colossae. Right? No doubt. Paul perhaps had been there before. Somehow someone that maybe Paul had come into contact with, preached. Right? At any rate, he understood and learned about how they conducted themselves. Right? Right? But yet, Paul still needed for them to understand everything that comes with the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Right? Now, as we were talking before, we recognized that Paul, in his letters to these churches, his message is similar, if not the same. Because the Besorah, the message, is the same. Right? You have different people, different operations, different administrations. You have different people with different experiences of sharing this Besorah in light of what they have witnessed and experienced. But the message still should be the same. Faith in Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, right? And the witness of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, right? Because it's not just the preached of Yahusha. It's not just the baptism of Yahusha. But it's receiving the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, Yahusha and Yahuwah in you, right? 3 witnesses that agree, right? 3. Okay, so let's look at that 13th verse. He says, who have delivered us from the power of darkness. Now, you know that Paul is referencing the transition, right, from being under Hassatan's dominion, right, because he is the ruler and the prince of the air. He is that Ruach that now works in the children of disobedience, right? It is those that Yahuwah has delivered them from, right? Evil, wicked, sinful Ruachs, right? He said, listen. Matter of fact, let's go up. Let's go up to verse 9. No, let's go up to verse 8. He said, who also declared unto you your love in the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. So, your love is demonstrated in the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, right? For this cause, we also, since the day we heard of it, I cease not to pray for you, and the desire that you might be filled with knowledge of his will. That's the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. That's the same thing Paul prayed to the church at Ephesus. Same thing. And again, I think we went there. We're going to go there again real quick. Ephesians 1. Ephesians 1, I think it's the 13th verse. He says, listen, in whom also trusted after that ye heard the word of truth, Ephesians 1 and 13, the gospel, the Besorah of your Yeshua, in whom after that ye believe you were sealed, right? And listen, you can't escape this. You need to be sealed. Sealed, right? Now, when we think of a seal, we think of something that has been placed on something to show that it's secured, right? Something that's placed on something to show that it is secured, right? If you're in a supermarket and you purchase something and the seal is broken, you recognize that can't be trusted because it's been broken or that seal is not there, right? Seal, right? You seal any vitamin, right? You open the top of that vitamin, right? If it's a brand new, look, turmeric, right? Turmeric. I open up the lid. It's sealed, right? Now I have confidence that because the seal is intact, that everything in here is okay, right? Because it has a seal, right? It can be trusted. right? It has something that shows that the content on the inside, right, is secure, right? Now we have a seal in the Ruach Ha'Qodesh that has caused us and the content in us to be protected, right? And at the time of the revealing, right, of Yahusha, right, when the seal is cracked and we are changed completely, right, and now have his Ruach without measure, or with the measure that Yahusha Ha'Mashiach had, right? That is why we need the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. We need Yahuwah's seal. He says, where you were sealed with the Ruach Ha'Qodesh of promise, which is the earnest, which is the down payment, right? Yahuwah gave you what you needed, sealed you, until the time that he can crack the seal and put all that he needs. Right? A seal is also something that shows that it belongs to whoever it is. Okay, I'll give you an example. Same bottle. Right? Nature made. Turmeric. Right? Right? The seal is that it's nature made. Right? Right? So when I purchased this product, right, my expectation that it's nature made, right, seal, right, verifies that it is their content, right? Seal, right? They seal their product with their name, with their logo, right? With the #1 pharmaceutical, well, we know what that is, but, you know, pharmakia, witchcraft, right? But this natural herb has been sealed by nature made, right? And it's been sealed, right, to prevent or to show that this product's content is exactly what it is. Right? Right? Sealed. You and I are sealed with the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. We are sealed by having received the witness of Yahuwah and Yahusha and the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Because they testified of Yahuwah, Yahusha. Listen. Which is the earnest of your inheritance until the redemption of the precious possession. That seal is what Yahuwah will look at and see throughout the time of your endurance. Right? The enduring until the end. What he sees is his seal. What he sees is his content being locked in. The Ruach Ha'Qodesh, the Besorah of truth. Right? Those are locked in. That's what separates you from the world. That's why the world does not know you. Because you have a seal about you that they're not familiar with. They have a seal that they are not familiar. You have a seal that they are not familiar with. You said they don't know you. They don't have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, right? But this Ruach Ha'Qodesh Yahuwah has put in you to establish you as his heritage. And he has sealed you until the end. And that end may be your life or until he appears. But anyway, it's the end. And you're sealed. You are in his kingdom. You will serve in his kingdom on the earth. He says, redemption of the purchased possession. Redemption of the purchased possession unto the praise of his glory. You are his purchased possession, which in the act of redemption, you are going to be changed into his image, after his likeness, completely. He's given you what you need to get going. No, he's giving you what you need to get it underway, right? He's giving you the earnest, right? The down payment, the initial, what you need to do, what you need to do. That's if you receive this Ruach Ha'Qodesh. If you ain't received this Ruach Ha'Qodesh, you ain't got nothing. You don't have nothing to work with. Oh no, nothing. Without the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, you have nothing to work with. With the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, you are a vessel fit for the master's use. All you have to do is to learn to submit to the Ruach Ha'Qodesh and receive the Besorah of truth and receive the revelation of the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, then you gonna do what he need to do to the end. Okay, let's go. He said, wherefore I also, we're still in Ephesians 1:15. I also, after that I heard of your faith in Yahusha, Adonai Yahusha, and love for the saints, right? It's the same thing he says to the churches, Colossians, right? He says he learned of your, also how he learned in Colossians 1:7 of your faithfulness in Mashiach, right? That our EPH'SIYM revealed to him your love in the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, right? Right? Since the day that I heard, for this cause we also, since we've heard of it, do not to cease to pray for you, and desire that ye might be filled with the knowledge of his will in all wisdom and spiritual understanding. That's Colossians 9:1-9. Ephesians, he says, wherefore also have I heard your faith, Ephesians 15:1-15, of your faith in Yahuwah and Yahusha, Adonai Yahusha, and the love for all the saints. Cease not to give thanks for you, making mention of you in your prayers, in our prayers, right? That Adonai Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, the Abba of glory, may give unto you the Ruach, right, of wisdom and revelation and the knowledge of him. So we talking the same exact thing. Paul is speaking about the same exact thing. The message is not different. See, my prayer is that Yahuwah, by his Ruach Ha'Qodesh, would reveal to you all that the Besorah in the Torah of truth has for you in the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, and that by the Ruach Ha'Qodesh you would be witnesses to the brethren, having received the engrafted word of the Besorah of truth, having received the word of Yahuwah and Yahusha, because Yahusha gave you the word, and the word he's given us, and we have to keep it. We have to keep his commandments. We have to obey the word, right? My desire and prayers is that you who hear this would do this. Oh yeah, you would do this, right? Do this. Look, if you have a problem doing it, give them this. Listen, bruh. Listen, sister. You need to hear this. Give them this Besorah. Listen. That's what EPH'SIYM did. He told Paul about it. Right? He did. Look, Paul, I got to share with you this assembly. Listen. He says that the eyes of your understanding being enlightened, that ye may know what is the hope of your calling. You ain't understand what's in you. What Yahuwah by the Ruach Ha'Qodesh has put in you. What you have received in the witness of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, and what that means in you. What that means through you. Listen, if this Besorah be hid, it be hid to those who are lost. Right? Your responsibility is to deliver the Besorah of truth by the Ruach Ha'Qodesh of truth. Your responsibility is receiving this witness and giving this witness to others. And those who have an ear to hear will receive it. Those who won't, shake the dust from your feet. Let it be a sign to them. That's what the witness does. The Ruach Ha'Qodesh in you, the witness in you, does that. It convicts of sin. Right? Because the righteousness of Yahusha and Yahuwah in you, right? And the Besorah of truth from your mouth convicts of sin. Listen, it convicts of sins by your life alone. Your life in the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, having received the witness, is a conviction. It's the light that's in the world that's shining in darkness. It convicts. It shows righteousness. It reveals righteousness. And it judges. Listen, you give the Besorah of truth out. Listen, if you receive it and they receive it in righteousness, then you've saved someone from the jaws of Hasatan and eternal damnation. If they don't receive you, you know what? Hey, it's for those that have an ear to hear and listen. They're judged because that's what the Besorah does. That's what righteousness does. That's why you're free from the law. Because Yahuwah and Yahusha lives on the inside of you. You don't sin. You don't sin. You don't sin. You do not commit sin. Because his seed remains in you. You can't sin. Listen, if you can sin, you don't have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. If you can sin without impunity, you don't have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. This is a call to the nation. This is the Besorah. This is the message. It's not just being Hebrew. It's not just being Hebrew. You have to recognize that you are Yahuwah's, having received the witness of Yahusha. He said, listen. What is exceeding greatness is of his power to us who believe. Power to us who believe. Right? According to the working of his mighty power, which he wrought when he raised Yahusha Ha'Mashiach from the dead. The water, the blood. And the blood is so powerful because he raised Yahusha from the dead in order for him to bring the blood sprinkle it on the altar in the Shamayim in order for him to be pleased to release the Ruach Ha'Qodesh to you and me. Raised for Hamashiach from the dead. Listen. And set him on his own right hand in heavenly places, far above principalities and powers and mights and dominions and every name, not only in this world, but that which is to come. Hasatan knows who you are. Because you have the Ruach of Yahuwah. Hasatan knows who you are because you have received the witness and now have the Ruach HaQodesh of Yahuwah, and he can't do anything to you. See, now, when you were his, he could do whatever he wanted to. Yeah, he can wreak havoc on you without impunity. But see, once you've received the witness of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, once you receive the witness of Yahuwah and the Shamayim, Yahusha Mashiach and the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, he can't touch you. He can't. But that's why you have to purify your mind. That's why you have to keep the Besorah, the Torah, in your heart. Thy word have I hid in my heart, that I might not sin against thee. I have the Ruach of Yahuwah on the inside of me. The Ruach Ha'Qodesh of Yahuwah is inside of me, going to warn me well in advance when there's an attack imminent from Hasatan that he's trying to move in on you. And then he ain't going to do nothing. He going to expect you to use the power and the authority that he gave you. That's why you got to have his Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Colossians. Right? He says, strengthen with all might according to his glorious power unto the patience and long suffering with joyfulness. This is what he's saying. The same thing, right? Giving thanks unto the Father which hath made us meet, right? Again, we looked at that word meet, right? That word meet means equipped. Equipped with adequate power. Yahuwah has given us adequate power to do what we need to do in the earths. It's about the kingdom. It's about the kingdom. It's about establishing his kingdom. Yahusha came to establish the kingdom. David's kingdom. His kingdom. Yahusha's kingdom. In Yahuwah's kingdom, only the righteous are going to be in there. Ain't no unrighteous folk rolling up into the kingdom of Yahuwah from the Shamayim. Listen, Ruach Ha'Qodesh. That's why you gotta have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. That's why you have to have this Ruach. You have to have the Ruach HaQodesh. You have to have the Ruach HaQodesh. Ain't nobody rolling up into the kingdom of the Shamayim without having received the witness of the Ruach HaQodesh. That's why we preach. That's why we preach. We preach the witness. You must be born again. Of the water, of the blood, and of the Ruach. Must be born again. You must be born again. Listen, he says, giving thanks unto the Father, which hath made us meet. He has equipped us with the adequate powers that we need to perform the duties. That's that word in the Greek.
Strong's G 2427. Hikanao.
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 Hikanao. To make sufficient, to render fit, right? To equip one with the adequate power to perform the duty of one. And ye shall receive power. After that, the Ruach HaQodesh is come upon you, and ye shall be my witnesses. Yahusha said in Acts, right? Acts, first chapter, right? He says, the former treaties have I made, O Theophilus, of all that Yahusha began both to do and to teach. Right? Unto the day that he was taken up. After that, through the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, had given commandments unto the apostles whom he hath chosen. Unto the day which he was taken up. Right? After that, he through the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, had given commandments unto the apostles whom he hath chosen. Right? Right? To whom also he showed himself alive after his passion by many infallible proofs. Many times Yahusha appeared before his disciples before he was taken up. Being seen of them for 40 days and speaking of things pertaining to the kingdom of Elohiym. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. Yahuwah was establishing his kingdom in them. And being assembled together with them, commanded them that they should not part from Jerusalem. Don't you leave Jerusalem. But wait for the promise of the Father. Got to wait for the promise of the Father. You better obey my commandments. You better obey the commandments and wait for the Father. Wait for the Father. Wait for the Father. Wait for the promise of the Father. Ye have heard of me. You've heard me tell you of the promise of the Father, right? He said, for Yehukanan truly baptized with water, right? Yehukanan did, right? But ye shall be baptized with the Ruach Ha'Qodesh not many days from now. Water baptism. The blood of Yahusha. And finally, the Ruach Ha'Qodesh's baptism. Gotta have it. See, these are the three witnesses. This is what the awakening needs to understand. The awakening is only awakening. But see, this is a quickening. The Ruach HaQodesh in you is a baptismal quickening. A quickening. For Yehukanan truly baptized with water, but ye shall be baptized with the Ruach HaQodesh. Right? Let's do this. Let's do this. Yehukanan 1 and 33. And I knew him not. No, let's go up to 32. And Yehukanan bore record saying, I saw the Ruach HaQodesh descending like a dove, and it aboded on him. It remained, it continued to dwell. Yahusha had received the Ruach HaQodesh, right? Right? The Ruach HaQodesh without measure, right? He says, and I knew him not. But he that sent me to baptize with water that said unto me, whom thou shalt see the Ruach HaQodesh, right, descending and remaining on him, right? The same is he that will baptize with the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Acts 1 and 5. For John truly baptized with water. But you got to go through the water. But you can't stop at the water. You got to go through the blood. But you can't stop the blood. Because you have to be baptized because you have to wait for the Father to provide for you the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. He says, when they therefore were come together, they asked of him, saying, Adonai, wilt thou at this time restore again the kingdom of Yasharal? He says, he said unto them, it is not for you to know the time of the season which the Father has put in his power. Now, Yahuwah had placed his Ruach in them, right? Which establishes them in the kingdom. So the kingdom has come, right? But the physical manifestation of the kingdom appearance is what we wait for. That's the earnest expectation, right? But in order to be in this kingdom, you have to have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Yahusha knew that they were questioning him in relationship to the physical restoration of the kingdom. Right? Not this Roman, Herodian, Edomite in office dictating Pharisees, Sadducees, wickedness. Right? But the righteous David kingdom of sovereignty, having all enemies subdued, right? That physical manifestation of the kingdom. You said he's not, it's not for you to know. He said, listen, it's not for you to know, right? He said unto them, it's not for you to know the time or the season which the Father has put in his own power. Yahuwah knows. It's in his power to establish it when he wants to. But you better wait for the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, because that's going to be your seal that you have access to the kingdom. That's Yahuwah's seal. Listen. That's the seal in the end times. The Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Yeah. That's the seal. Ain't no new seal. That's the seal. That's the seal that you have to have, right, before these acts of Yahuwah in the form of destructions and plagues come upon the earth. That's the seal. The Ruach Ha'Qodesh. There's no other seal. The seal is Yahusha and Yahuwah in you. He said, listen. Told the angels to hold up, wait. Because we got to seal something still. Still something that needs to be sealed. In Yahuda. There's some still in the nation that needs to be sealed by the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Something we still got to seal. Gotta wait. I got a man that's going to declare the word of the Ruach that they need to be sealed. Got a man that's going to say, you need the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Have you received the Ruach Ha'Qodesh since you believed? It is Yahuwah's seal. Gotta have somebody to declare that. Gotta have somebody to declare that. Have somebody to declare that. Listen, in all the awakening, I ain't heard nobody hardly talk about the Ruach Ha'Qodesh except a couple of tribes. You got to be sealed with the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. That's why it's only a remnant, because only a remnant. He says, but ye shall receive power after that the Ruach Ha'Qodesh is come upon you, and ye shall be witnesses unto me both in Jerusalem and Judea and Samaria to the uttermost parts of the earth. You got to be sealed. You got to be sealed with the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Kadar, shut up! You got to be sealed with the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. You got to be sealed. You got to be sealed with the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. You have to have the power to be a witness. You can't witness to nothing without the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. You can't witness to nothing without the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. These signs shall follow them to believe. You gotta have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Yehuda, you gotta have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. He said, but ye shall receive power after that the Ruach Ha'Qodesh shall come upon you, right? You should be my witnesses. Why? Because you received the witness yourself. The witness of the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, the witness of the water baptism, witness of the blood. Kadar! Cut it out! You gotta receive the witness. You gotta receive the witness of the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. You gotta receive the witness. How can you witness to Yahusha without the Ruach Ha'Qodesh? Listen, it is a beautiful thing to be Hebrew. See, I know I'm of the tribe of Yehuda. But now it's even better because I have this Ruach HaQodesh. Right? I'm of the seed of Dawid. I'm that nation that Yahuwah is going to deliver first. Yahudah. And he's going to do it because I have a seal. He ain't going to do it because I'm Hebrew. He's going to do it because I have his seal. You don't hear me? He's going to do it because I bear his seed. I bear his name. I bear his Ruach HaQodesh. Him and Yahusha and the Ruach HaQodesh. He's the witness and the Shamayim. The witness and the Shamayim. Yahusha said, me and the Father, we're going to make our abode in you. Right? In the Ruach HaQodesh. The witness in the Shamayim is Abba, is the Word, Yahusha, and is the Ruach HaQodesh. You are set apart, sanctified. You are royalty. Listen, I know I'm of the seed of Dawid. I know, just on the research that I've been able to find out with B'nai Israel and all of them extra dollar steps. My ancestry. Listen. I know where I'm at. I know who I am. I know whose I am. Listen. I'm his. Me and you and me. Witnesses both in Judea, Samaria, and uttermost parts of the earth. Let's go back to Colossians, right? Because the Ruach Ha'Qodesh is given to equip us with adequate power to perform the duties, right? Because in Colossians, he says, right, giving thanks unto the Father, which hath made us meet, right? That word meet, giving adequate power to be able to accomplish the mission. The adequate power is the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, which is what we need to earnest to do the work. And the work is reaching the saints. To partakers. He's given us what we need, the adequate power to be partakers of the inheritance. Partakers of the inheritance. Partakers of the inheritance, right? The inheritance, right? That which Yahuwah has prepared Yeshua, eternal Yeshua. Eternal Yeshua is the inheritance. Eternal Yeshua is the inheritance. See, we're already eternal. And we already have an inheritance. We're part of an inheritance. And the inheritance is of the saints. Qodeshiym, set apart, of the sanctified. Sanctified how? Through the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, having received the witness of the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, which sanctifies you. The sanctification comes in the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, which sets you apart, which is Yahuwah and Yahusha in you. You have to have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, right? That's the inheritance. That's eternal salvation. You become eternals having received the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Salvation is the restoration of your land, your kingdom, right? But the kingdom is in you because Yahuwah is establishing his subjects in his kingdom by putting his Ruach in them. All right, let's go on. We found the 13th verse. So, who have delivered us from the power of darkness, right? And have translated us into what? The kingdom of his son, Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, our King. Right? Now, the physical manifestation of that is yet to be revealed because Yahusha said it is. You don't know. It's in the Father's power. But it's in you. In Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. Who have delivered us from the power of darkness, the kingdom of Hasatan, the prince of the power of the air. This is his kingdom because Adam and Havah gave it to him. This is kingdom. This is kingdom. Right? And have translated us, taken us out of, what's that word translated? Let's look at that word, metaphisto.
Strong's G 3179. Methistemi.
Methistemi. Listen, it means to transpose, right? To transfer, to remove from one place to another, to change a situation or place, to remove from the office of a steward, to depart from life, right? Let me see what the etymology of that word is. It means to to with my let's about this one. What about this one? No. Let's go here. See, and you know, like I said, you know, even in the Greek and the Hebrew, right? You know, especially when you translate it more from Hebrew or from Greek, right? There's some similarities and there's some, you know, radically different that we know basically from what we understand from Ecclesiasticus, the first chapter, right? That there's so much just lost in translation, right? But listen, if you have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, understand this. Whether you know Greek or Hebrew, it ain't going to be a limitation because Yahuwah. Ruach Ha'Qodesh is going to lead you and guide you to all truth. Yeah, it will. Okay, so he says, who have delivered us from the power of darkness and have translated us, right? Translated us. Let me look at that word. I want to look that word up by definition. What does Merriam-Webster have to say about this? Let's look up here first. To remove from one place or condition to another, to cause a body to move to that all the parts travel in the same direction without rotation, change, or shape. Oh, that's physics. To cause a body to move so that all its parts travel in the same direction. It almost sounds supernatural, right? Let's look at Merriam-Webster. It means definition. No, that's not what I want. That one. I want this. Hold on, bear with me for a second here. Yeah, no, that was a waste of time. Sorry, it was a waste of time. It's a waste of time. No, so many things are a waste of time. Okay, so, right, so it says here, translated into the kingdom of his dear son. So we're part of the kingdom of Yahusha now. His kingdom has come. Now, the physical manifestation of the kingdom is yet to be determined, right? But we know that we've been translated. We have been removed from the kingdom of Hasatan to the kingdom of Yahusha and Yahuwah by the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Because now we're the sons of Eloah. We're no longer the dominion of Hasatan. He is not our father anymore, right? So we don't serve in his kingdom. We don't serve in Hasatan's kingdom. No, we don't serve in Hasatan's kingdom because we can't. Because what fellowship has righteousness with unrighteousness? What agreement has Hamashiach with Belial? What agreement has the temple of Eloah with idols? We are the temple of Eloah. Yahuwah and Yahusha dwells in us. His kingdom is in us. His temple. He says, in whom we have redemption through his blood, the forgiveness of sins. So we have redemption. It has been paid for. We have the witness of the blood that redeemed us. Right? The water, the blood, the redemption of the blood that redeemed us. The blood that was sprinkled on the altar in the Shamayim, right? The blood that the Father says is good. It's received, right? For the forgiveness of sins. Who is the image of the invisible Eloah, Yahusha. Yahusha is in whom is the image of the invisible Eloah. So Yahusha is the image of the invisible Eloah. Right? The firstborn of every... Yahusha is the firstborn of everything. First. He is the first of everything. He is the first of everything. Yahuwah, Yahusha, and Ruach Ha'Qodesh, the first of everything. He says, by him were all things created. You listen, it's the Word. Abba, the Word, right? The three witnesses that agree in the Shamayim and the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, right? For by him were all things created that are in the Shamayim and in the Eretz, visible and invisible, whether be thrones or dominions, principalities or powers or things that were created by him and for him. Everything was created by him and for him. Angels were created by him and for him. Everything that exists in the Shamayim was created by him and for him. Everything that was in the Eretz was created by him and for him. Adam and Havah was after his image, after his likeness. Right? Created for him. Right? They had his Ruach. He told them to look, put the kibosh on everything. Right? Rule. Establish rulership. Right? They gave it to Hastah. Yahuwah created them to establish a kingdom in the Eretz, where he could come and walk in the coolness of the day and fellowship with his people, who would have had his Ruach HaQodesh, who could have stood his presence. It was all given up. It was all yielded to Hasatan. It was all given away. But Yahuwah created it for his glory. Verse 17, right? And he is before all things, and by him all things. Listen, Yahusha, the Word, right? He is before all things, right? And by all things, by him all, listen, that's why, listen. That's why Yahuwah sent the Word, and the Word became flesh. Yahusha came all the way from the beginning to renew a covenant and establish a kingdom that was from the beginning. Same word. He said, the words that you have given me, I have given them, and they've kept them. You said, if you abide in me and my words abide in you, you're going to ask what you will, it shall be done unto you. His Father glorified that you produce fruit, that you reach people for the Besorah, the kingdom that you quickened by the Ruach and the word of people. He says, and he is the head of the body, right? Because, you know, the assembly is his body. He's the head, right? The head of the body. who is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead. Yahusha, by the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, the firstborn from the dead. Yahusha, right? By the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, firstborn from the dead, unto eternal life. He's firstborn from the dead unto eternal life. He's the firstborn from the dead to eternal life, right? Firstborn from the dead, that in all things he might have the preeminence. He was the first one raised by the power of Yahuwah's Ruach. Unto eternal life. Yahusha is the first one raised from the dead unto eternal life. Firstborn. He might have preeminence. For it pleased that in him should dwell all the fullness. Dwell all the fullness. Right? Yahusha. The Ruach Ha'Qodesh in fullness. Yahusha was filled with the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Yahusha is filled with the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. For it pleased that in him should all the fullness dwell. Right? When Yahusha was on the earth, all the fullness of Yahuwah dwelled in him. Because he's talking about when he was on the earth. And having made peace through his blood, having the fullness of Yahuwah in him, he reconciled the nation to Yahuwah by the cross, by him to reconcile all things to himself by him. Yahuwah reconciled all things to himself by Yahusha. Whether things in the earth or whether things in the Shamayim, everything has been reconciled through a Mashiach. Everything. Listen. He says, listen. And you that were sometimes alienated. Who was sometimes alienated? Sometimes. That's the nation. That's Yasharal Yehuda. You know, because we were sometimes close to Yahuwah, then sometimes we was far away from Yahuwah. Sometimes we were close to Yahuwah, sometimes the people we were far away from Yahuwah. You were sometimes alienated. Sometimes we was with Yahusha, sometimes we weren't with Yahusha. Sometimes we were with Yahusha, sometimes we weren't with Yahusha, right? So Paul was quite possibly talking to Gentiles and Hebrews. It was a mixture of both, right? Because they were. The Gentiles were always separated from Yahuwah. They were never sometime. Right? The Gentiles were always separated from Yahuwah. Right? And you that were sometimes alienated. There was times that you was, as a people, as a nation, Yisrael, you were aliens. And you were enemies of Yahuwah. And were wicked works. Yet now have he reconciled you. He reconciled you. The ministry of reconciliation has everything to do with reconciling something that was right before, that fell out, that had to be put back. Right? Reconciled. Reconcile. The Greek.
Strong's G 604. Apakatalaso.
Apakatalaso. Right? To reconcile back again. to bring back a former state of harmony, to reconcile completely. Listen. You have to understand that the apostle Shaul was speaking to Hebrews and Gentiles, right? He was speaking of those who had assimilated into cultures that weren't theirs. And he was speaking to those who were of those nations. He said, you were sometimes alienated and enemies in your mind and wicked works, yet now have he reconciled in the body of his flesh through death and presented you Kodesh and blameless and reprovable in his sight. Why? Because you have received the witness of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach and you have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. You have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Because we've already read, and it's been established way before we got to this verse, that they have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. And he was praying that they would have the Ruach of wisdom and revelation, even more so in the knowledge of what they received. They had the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, right? Right? He says, in the body of his flesh through death, to present you holy, Kodesh, and unblameable. Why? Because there's therefore now no condemnation to them that are in Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, because of his blood cleanses us from all sin, right? His blood cleanses us from all sins. And not only that, right? Not that the blood only, right? But now you have been sealed with the Ruach HaQodesh of promise. You are now in the beloved, right? And unreprovable in his sight. He says, right? If ye continue in the faith, grounded and settled, and not be moved away from the hope of the Besorah, which ye have heard, which ye have preached, which was preached to every creature, which is under the heavens, before I shall have made a minister. So, okay, so listen, right? You got to continue in this. You have to continue in the Ruach HaQodesh. You got to continue in the Besorah of truth. You have to constantly purify your mind, constantly purify your heart. You got to constantly purify yourself, your soul, your nefesh. Your nefesh is not regenerated. It's your emotions, your feelings, you know. I mean, you got to bring them under the Ruach. You have to bring them under the Ruach, right? Because you can quench the Ruach. You can quench the Ruach by your deeds, by your failure not to purify yourself with the Ruach HaQodesh of truth and the Besorah and the Torah of truth. You can quench the Ruach HaQodesh by your failure to maintain a relationship of integrity in Yahuwah's Besorah and Torah. And be moved away from the hope of the Besorah, which you have heard. He says, who now rejoice in my sufferings for you, and fill up that which is behind of the afflictions of Mashiach in my flesh, for in the body's sake, which is Mashiach. So Paul says, listen, you know, I suffer some things for Hamashiach's sake. And the things that I suffer for Hamashiach's sake, I'm praying will be a benefit to you, right? In my afflictions, right? And what I suffer, right? who now rejoice in my sufferings for you, and fill up that which is behind of the afflictions of a Mashiach in my body, for the body's sake of Yahusha Mashiach. Yahusha told me some things he's going to have to suffer. Listen, I'm suffering these things. Wherefore I am made a minister according to the dispensation of Eloah, which is given unto me for you to the fulfill the word of Eloah. Listen, that's me. This Besorah of truth, the Torah guardian, speaking the absolute truth to you, right? Yahuwah has made me a minister, right? According to this dispensation. And in this dispensation, the message is you must receive the witness of Yahuwah and the word and the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. You must receive the witness of the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. You must receive the witness of the baptism in water and the baptism of the blood. You must receive these witnesses. The dispensation of Eloah, which was given unto me for you to fulfill the word of Eloah. I'm just here to fulfill the word of Eloah. I have to preach this. I have to fulfill the word of Eloah by the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. I got to fill the word of Eloah. He says, listen. Even the mysteries which have been hid from the ages and from generations, but are now made manifested to... Listen. This was hid from us. We had been bamboozled into Christianity. We had lost who we were. We are now understanding who we're the people of Yahuwah. But with that comes the manifestation of the recognition of the witness of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach in his people, the establishing of his kingdom. That's a mystery. We're sitting around here thinking that we all going into heaven to the sweet by and by. Walk around heaven all day. One of these old mornings, it won't be long. You will look for me and I'll be gone. I'm going to a place where I have nothing to do but just walk around heaven all day. Gospel keynotes. Listen, the mystery was hid. We ain't walk around heaven all day. We have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. We sons of Eloah. We're called to be elves. He's establishing his kingdom in the earth. We are that kingdom. We have this treasure in earthen vessels. We bear in our body his seal. Him and Yahusha in us. The kingdom has come. Yes, we still wait for the physical manifestation of the kingdom in the earths, but we are his written epistles read of men. We have his Ruach in us. We have been called to establish his kingdom, to call his sons and daughters unto righteousness. Listen, even the mysteries which have been hid from ages, from the generations, but now is made manifested to his saints. Listen, I'm so glad that I have his Ruach Ha'Qodesh, his Ruach Ha'Qodesh of truth. I'm so glad the words that he has given Yahusha gave to me, I've kept. I'm so glad that I know that I don't sin. I'm so glad that I know that this is all a part of his kingdom, his plan. This is a mystery that was hid. Listen, This Christian church had us believing all kinds of erroneous, crazy, strange doctrines because they didn't have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. They didn't have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. They don't have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. You can't be serving and worshiping Yahuwah on a Sunday when his day, Shabbat, is on a Saturday and say that you have his Ruach Ha'Qodesh. You lie. You don't keep Yahusha's commandments. Yahusha kept his father's commandments. Yahusha kept the Shabbat. He kept the feast days. Right? Yahusha obey Yahuwah's Torah. Right? You don't have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh without that. You have to demonstrate by the Ruach Ha'Qodesh your righteousness. Listen, that ain't this. Christianity ain't this. The awakening alone is not this. His kingdom is going to be established with his people. Right? Yasharal and Yehuda, you will be establishing his kingdom. You who have received his witness. Yeah. Who have his Ruach HaQodesh. Right? It's a remnant now. Yehuda don't need many. He just needs enough to have his Ruach HaQodesh, because one will put 1,000 flight, two put 10,000 flight. He just needs some Ruacho people with the Ruach HaQodesh. Listen. He says, to whom Elul would make known what is the riches of the glory of the mysteries among the Gentiles, which is in Mashiach in you, the hope of glory. So, the mystery of Yahusha in the Gentiles, right? Who weren't all Gentiles, who were assimilated into the culture of the Gentiles. Not everybody was of that nation. That mystery. Too, during the time of Yahusha's ministry, right? They was like, well, was Yahusha going to go to the dispersed, to the scattered? Right? Yep. To Apostle Paul. Paul went to the bruise in Asia. He went to the bruise in Spain and Portugal. He connected with the royal David's ancestors. The mystery. The glory of his mystery amongst the Gentiles, which in Hamashiach in you is the hope of glory. You're Gentile, you have hope. In whom we preach, warning every man and teaching every man in all wisdom, that we may present every man perfect. And you should listen, this is what this is. Hebrews. I'm coming as hard and as strong as I am because you need to understand this is about awakening you. This is about quickening you. It's not just waking you up. It's quickening you in the Ruach HaQodesh. It's bringing the life of Yahuwah and Yahusha in you. This is what this is about. This is about a quickening of the Ruach HaQodesh. Understanding and receiving the witness of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. Yahusha said, do you believe on me? Do you receive my witness? The blind man said, who are you that I may know who believe on you? He said, I am Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. He said, oh yeah, I believe on you. Believe the witness. He says, listen. He says, whereunto I am also a laborer, striving according to his working, which worketh in me mightily. That's what I do. This Besorah, this Torah that I preach, this Besorah, this Torah I preach in order to reach men and women for the kingdom of Yahuwah. This message is to reach Yahuwah's people. That's it. To reach them for the Besorah of truth, that they may know Yahuwah, the all-wise Elul, and Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, his son. That's what this is about. This. Man of Yah, woman of Yah. That's all I have. This is Shabbat. Yahuwah, I pray right now in the name of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach for the restoration of the nation of Yasharal and Yehuda and return to Yerushalayim, Yahuwah. Return to our native land, return to our culture, our way of doing, and our way of being. Yahuwah, I'm praying that they would receive the witness of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, because that's what establishes us in the kingdom of Yahuwah. It is Yahusha Ha'Mashiach and him crucified, his blood sprinkled on the Shamayim in the altar, and Yahuwah, you giving us the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, you and Yahusha in us, the earnest of our inheritance, the Ruach of wisdom and revelation. Yahuwah, the earnest of our inheritance, the seal. Yahuwah, I pray right now in the name of Yahusha. You put your name in us. I give you praise, Yahuwah. I give you praise. I give you praise. I give you praise. Yahuwah, bless and heal those that are on the sound of my voice. All those that thou hast called, all those that have chosen. Yahuwah, minister by your Ruach Ha'Qodesh unto. I give you praise, for you're worthy of the praise. I worship you because you're worthy of the worship. Yahuwah, I magnify and glorify your name. I declare your righteousness. In the name of Yahusha Mashiach, I praise you. Yahuwah, let the words of my mouth and meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight. You are my strength and my redeemer. Listen, man of Yah, woman of Yah, listen. If this Besorah of truth blessed you, share this word. If you know this word is life, share it. Right? Share it. We trying to reach Yasharal and Yehuda with the Besorah of truth. Get this word out. Not because it's me, but because it's the truth. Jerusalem. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, called to greatness. Woman of Yahuwah, beautifully and wonderfully made. Yahuwah's favored you this Shabbat. Yerushalayim. We going out with this. Yeah, we going out with this. With that I say, man of Yah, woman of Yah. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, and be blessed. Hallelujah.
Torah Garden, speaking the absolute truth. Torah Nation.